it's Jennifer Cramer Lewis here. Just was wanting to talk to you guys today. It's a beautiful Saturday here in British Columbia, Canada. And yeah, let's talk about money. So many people have tons of points of view about money. And so I put a post on my Facebook. How much money is too much money? Like, what is an embarrassment of riches? And is there such a thing as an embarrassment of riches? If this is the first Facebook Live that you've seen my face, my name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis, and I am an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator and a Right Riches for You Certified Facilitator. And so what Access Consciousness is a school or a university of thought to help people know that they know what's right for them in their life. And so one of my specialties is asking for way too much. I used to get teased about it when I was little. My family was like, oh, you always want more than your fair share. You're always looking at what people have and how you can get more. And so for a long time, I made myself wrong about that. And now I've decided that's probably one of my specialties. So how much money is too much money? That's gonna, it's totally gonna relate to the individual. Yeah, I put a post on my Facebook and some people were like, 10 billion. Okay, and are you in energetic alignment with receiving or creating 10 billion? What choices are you making? What questions are you asking? And who are you connecting with that can connect you with the 10 billion? Or is the 10 billion just showing up out of the blue? One of the people on the post had said, oh, well, they had done an exercise, like if they had won $60 million on the lottery, they had, said, okay, well, what would happen if I won $60 million on the lottery? What would that be like? And what would I do? And so it turned out that they would give away 50 to various charities, obviously to people who they thought needed the $60 million. And I said to her, I said, Jane, what if the 60 million is for you and for you alone? What if? So would that be embarrassing to get $60 million and to keep it? And what would that look like? And another person on the post that I made just the other day said that they felt uncomfortable when they got a check from their grandma for $200 to buy something nice for their son. And so what if nothing's ever right or wrong? What if it's just being more aware of what your responses are to having money? So I said to her, okay, well, that's cool. If you can be observant of what your response is to receiving money and notice that you're like, ooh, I don't want to receive that money. That money makes me feel uncomfortable. And it's like, wow, what if it's actually not the money that makes you feel uncomfortable? What if it's what you're aware of with the money? And so does receiving money mean that you owe somebody something? Like, just for example, you get a really extravagant wedding gift, and then your friends get married and they're like, well, where the fuck's my extravagant wedding gift? Even though, they're more, making more money than you. And so have a look at that. And does receiving money, you might have seen my other Facebook Live, does receiving or having a lot of money make you a snob? Does that create something ugly in your universe where you think, wow, I really just don't want to be that person that has that much money? And so if that's true for you, what if that's okay too? What if you can just sit there with that observation and go, wow, if having this much money makes me a snob or a bitch, or like, what does it make me? And do I have a choice? And so that's one of the things that I would love to give you the energy of, is that you always have a choice of how you're going to feel. Even though it sometimes comes in and you're like, bam, I just got slapped in the face with that feeling. Consciousness talks about a tool called interesting point of view. And so if you've heard this tool before, it's kind of like an iPhone. Like anybody can use interesting point of view. And then it dials down and it dials down and it dials down. So just for example, say your interesting point of view is that money creates an obligation. Truth, does it really create an obligation? Or can you just choose? Even if that person thinks, oh, well, I'm going to give them money, but, I'm going to get this back. Do you actually have to buy into that paradigm where that person thinks that, by giving you money, they're creating an obligation? Again, you still have choice with that. And so having a look at that, what is my choice with money? And so here's a question that you can ask yourself when you're in that paradigm. If I was truly being me with money, who would I be? And, one of the things is, being teased as a kid, like, oh, well, you always want more than your fair share. You always want more than your fair share. I was also the most generous kid. Oh my God. If somebody was without, I was like, here, have this thing. And I'm still like that as an adult. Somebody comes in and they're like, oh my God, Jennifer, I love that. And I'm like, cool, have it. I think I get that from my granny. She used to just, you would never go to her house and leave without like food or clothes or something cool. She was just amazing that way. And so have a look at that. Like Jane said, oh, well, I would give most of the $60 million away. Well, what if having the $60 million made it so that you could be as generous as you truly be? Just having that in your world, having a beautiful nest egg so that when somebody came to you with an opportunity, you could actually choose from the space of generosity of spirit. And so generosity of spirit is that everything is in abundance, even money. And so we have all of these points of view about money. And how much of them are even ours? How much of these points of view are like, save a penny, save a pound, a bird in a hand is worth two in the bush. Or you have to be careful with your money. You have to budget. You can't let anybody know that you have money. You're not allowed to be flashy. Like all of these points of view. Here's another Access Consciousness tool, and it's called, who does that belong to? So that was one of the very first Access Consciousness tools that I received, I guess in 2010, for those of you who haven't heard this story, I went through the most awful part of my life. I really didn't want to continue to live anymore. I just didn't want to traumatize anybody by my passing. Like if I could have jumped off a bridge and just disappeared, I absolutely would have done that. But then I had visions of like people diving, trying to find my body, and you know what I mean. So I went on the internet. Somebody had sent me an internet radio show, and this lady from Access Consciousness, she was a certified facilitator. And so she talked about this point of view, interesting point of view. No, not interesting point of view. Who does that belong to? And so she was saying, so many times we pick up on the thoughts and feelings and emotions of other people. Like how many times have you walked into a room and you're like, whoa, what just happened here? Or how many times have you been like, oh my God, I got to phone that person, and you pick up the phone and you call them and they're like, I was just going to call you. Or like, oh my God, you'll never believe it. Like, I really need to talk to you about this. And so if you're an energetically available kind of person, that's actually kind of normal. Or at least it is in my universe. And so this who does that belong to tool really is amazing with money. And so for every point of view that you have about money, that, ooh, I have to give it away. If I have an abundance of money, if I have an embarrassment of riches, I have to give it away. Is that really true? Or like Jane, what if having the money makes it so that you could be the generosity of spirit that you truly be? I remember one time watching an Oprah show, and of course she has gajillions of money, of dollars and riches and wealth. And she came from such humble beginnings. And I think she's done a really good job. She set up a foundation. And so it's not just her deciding where the money goes. You know, people ask her for money all the time. And so it goes through her board of directors, and her board of directors choose who gets to have the money. And she's obviously on her own board of directors. And what would that be like? What if you had so much money that you could have a board of directors helping you decide where some of it goes? And what if you don't have to instantly get it out of your life? And so one of the people on the feed was talking about, oh, well, you know, I don't really have a whole lot of money, so I have to be careful with it. Okay, cool. Well, that's an interesting point of view. And truth, are you truly careful with money? And does that add to you having more money, or do you have a point of view that being careful with money means that you can't receive a whole lot of it because then you blow it? So one, what if we could add that interesting point of view tool? So interesting point of view that you have that point of view that money goes in and out of your life really quickly. And then what if we add the who does that belong to tool? Like, who else in your life needs to be careful about money and has the money whipping in and out of their lives? And I remember watching another interview. So I'm from Canada, and we have a billionaire in Canada, and his name is Jimmy Pattison. And I watched an interview with him, and he talked about how, you know, there's this part of our lives where really we are living paycheck to paycheck. I know this young lady has 2 little kids, and you know, her husband works hard, and she's at home with the kids at the moment. And so what if it's okay to have this part of your life? And what if by flailing around and being worried that you're doing something wrong creates more of what's wrong with money instead of what's right with money? And so just have a look at that. You know, like, what am I good at with money? How am I good at receiving? So there was another post on this thread that made me want to talk about it. This guy had said, oh, well, what is receiving really? Like, you know, if I get free tickets to something, or somebody lets me have something for free, you know, or the universe gifts me all of these things. So have a look at the energy of that. Do we really have value for the things that we're given for free? And do we have a point of view that the things that we're given create an obligation in our universe? And so, interesting point of view that we might have that point of view. And also, who does that point of view belong to? And so you could probably write a whole list of people in your life that you've met or that you haven't met, or that you've agreed and aligned with and said, okay, well, these people actually know about money, or that you've resisted and reacted to, like, oh my God, what the heck do these people know about money? One of the people that I originally resisted and reacted to was the founder of Access Consciousness. His name is Gary Douglas, and he talks about choice. And I remember the first class that I took with him, he was like, well, it's just choice. It's just choice. It's just choice. And I remember thinking, well, God, you're like a multimillionaire. Of course you have choice. And, you know, like, you make millionaire choices. And at that time, you know, I was living in a tiny 2-bedroom townhouse. I did own the townhouse. However, you know, like, my bills were stacked up. Like, I owed a crap ton of money. I was having trouble paying my mortgage and, you know, my bills. And so I had a series of roommates, and, you know, it was okay. It wasn't the greatest arrangement. When my kids were with me, we all bunked into the same room. And so many people live like that. However, I love to have my space. And so, you know, what are the choices? And now I realize a lot of it is based on choices. And so here's one last tool I'm going to leave you with. Access Consciousness talks about choices that add to your future, or enhance your future, or make your future bigger, or become expansive, or something that you can get excited about, or something that you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to share that. So that is a light choice for you. And then Access Consciousness talks about choices that make us feel heavy, or diminish our future or take away from our future, or we feel like we have no choice. So feel the energy of that. You don't have to be a psychic to feel the energy of that. So when you're making a choice with money, say you decide you want to buy a new house. So does this house add to my future? Can I see myself living there in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Even if you're planning on not living there for that long, how will it add to your life in 100 years? And so have a look at that. And then if you're like, oh, well, this house will be good. I can afford it. The mortgage payments are good. We can jam 2 babies into 1 room. We'll make do. We have enough furniture to go into this house. So is that a choice that expands your future, or are you making choices based on limitation or calculation? So oops, lost you for a second. Sorry about that. Anyways, so what did I really want to say? So many of us have been taught that we need to make choices with money based on calculation. We need to see if this fits into our budget. And that's not really the way that money comes into our lives. And so money comes into our lives in weird and wacky ways. And if we're willing to make choices based on the future, an expansive future, a joyful future, something that adds to your life and to the lives of your families and to the lives of your friends and into your business, then money always comes to the party. Dane here, Dr. Dane here, the lovely Dr. Dane here, the co-founder of Access Consciousness, talks about money follows joy. And so this is what I'm going to leave you with. I would love for you to make a list of 100 things that you would love to experience that would bring joy into your life over the next 100 years. And if you're 60 years old, then just make the list anyways and pretend that you're going to live for 100 years. Because who knows? I mean, there may be medical advancements. We may quit eating all the delicious crap and we may decide to live longer. And so what I've noticed is people who have a joyful, lovely life that's filled with wonderful experiences do tend to live longer, and they're healthier and they're happier, and most of the time they're wealthier too. So make that list. And here's my invitation to you. I have a Facebook page or a Facebook group called the Audacious Ask. I'm going to leave a link to that in the comments, and so you can jump on that. We go live every Monday, and the first 5 people on the call get one-on-one facilitation with me. Normally, my one-on-one facilitation is $500 a session, and this is available to you for free because I find it fun. And so jump on that every Monday. And then also, I have a beautiful thing that I did last summer called Unlocking You. And it's all about unlocking you and your points of view with money, and also the interesting points of view with money you may have picked up and called yours. And who does that belong to? So I'm going to leave a note in the comments where to find that. And it's a 90-minute class. And if you log into my online university, you can get the video that goes with that and the recordings. And you can begin to listen to that and unlock your points of view about money. Because what if there is a chunk of money out there with your name on it and only your name on it? What if the universe wants to gift it to you because you're the key to unlocking something amazing for this planet? And what if it's just you? My name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis, and thank you so much